Meeting between US President Donald Trump and Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, a close ally of the White House, has seen Budapest securing a one-year exemption from sanctions on Russian oil and gas. Brussels-based geopolitical analyst Botond Feledy highlights the tightrope Hungary continues to walk, balancing its reliance on Russian energy while maintaining favor in Washington ahead of national elections next spring.
The interest of the Hungarian Prime Minister in maintaining the access to Russian oil is important because several government-aligned entities have interest in the oil company's profit. So it has a very concrete outcome for Fidesz in the upcoming election year, whether they have these surpluses, both potentially in state budget and in government-aligned organizations. Having that said, Donald Trump is also keen on trying to make a deal with Russia, and Orban wants to be instrumental in that. That's why we had the discussions around the Budapest meeting of the two sides, Russia and the United States. So this tightrope is actually working out on the diplomatic level. At the same time, we don't really see the payoffs on the Hungarian citizens' side, because all the neighboring countries, like the Austrians or a bit further the Czech Republic, could come off the Russian imports rather without a price surge, having the same prices as Hungary has currently on Russian oil. They have no problems at the petrol stations, and that means that it is feasible, but Hungary has not yet begun to shift away from Russian resources in the last 3 years since the full-scale invasion.
Speaking on the possibility of a Trump-Putin meeting in Budapest, Botond said such a summit would serve more as a political opportunity for the Kremlin than a diplomatic breakthrough.
Hungary cannot be neutral in any respect. On the one hand, it is a NATO member state and an EU member state, the ally of the United States, therefore ally of the measures that are being taken by NATO members. On the other hand, Orban himself and his government policy is also not neutral when it comes to the war. It is clear that Hungary does run a much more Russia-friendly stance among the EU member states, the most Russia-friendly. Vladimir Putin has just endorsed Orban openly at a public event in Russia in the last months. So that means that it is EU head of government running for re-election being endorsed by Vladimir Putin. So if this meeting is taking place in Budapest, that is actually a diplomatic and a political win for Vladimir Putin to come to NATO and an EU member state to be able to fly in. Hungary is in the process of resigning from the International Criminal Court Treaty, therefore already saying that they would not arrest Vladimir Putin despite it's still running international legal obligations. So for Putin, is this the biggest win? And it is just a very ephemeral win for and victory for Viktor Orban in his election campaign, dressed up by the government-friendly media for election purposes.